The Age of the Stone Giants and the Great Pyramids, 10-minute script, as the Old Kingdom flourished. The pharaohs turned their gaze from the fertile soil to the infinite sky, seeking a way to build monuments that would defy even the passing of eons. Imagine the Giza Plateau before the Great Pyramids existed, a high, lonely limestone shelf overlooking the green valley where the only sound was the whistling wind and the distant call of workers. King Djoser, guided by his legendary architect. Imhotep was the first to dream in stone, stacking 6 massive levels of limestone to create the step pyramid at Saqqara, a literal staircase for his soul to climb toward the northern stars. This was the moment humanity learned to master the earth, moving away from fragile mud bricks to the eternal coldness of rock. Years later, King Khufu took this vision to its absolute peak, commissioning the Great Pyramid, a structure so precise and so massive that it remained the tallest building on Earth for over 4,000 years. Imagine tens of thousands of skilled craftsmen, not slaves, but respected workers moving in a rhythmic, meditative silence, pulling 20-ton blocks over wet sand using massive wooden sleds. There was no rush in their labor. They worked with the steady pulse of a nation that believed they were preserving the cosmic balance of the universe. When the Great Pyramid was finished, it was encased in polished white Tura limestone, so bright and smooth that it would have glowed like a fallen star under the Egyptian sun, visible for miles across the shimmering desert. As you imagine the cool, dark chambers deep inside these stone mountains, feel the absolute silence that has dwelled there for millennia. A stillness so profound that it slows your breath and carries your mind away to a time when kings were eternal. And mountains were built by hand. Asterisk, the Middle Kingdom, and the Golden Age of Art 10-minute script. After a long period of silence and internal shadows known as the First Intermediate Period, Egypt awoke once again, entering a time of deep refinement and cultural rebirth known as the Middle Kingdom. This era was no longer about the cold, overwhelming scale of the pyramids. It was an age of the heart, where the pharaohs became the shepherds of the people, focusing on the welfare of the land and the beauty of the human spirit. Imagine the new capital at Thebes, where the Nile is framed by dramatic limestone cliffs that turn deep gold in the setting sun, and the air is filled with the scent of lotus blossoms from the royal gardens. During this golden age, the scribes and artists reached a level of perfection that would never be surpassed, writing epic tales of travel and longing, and carving statues that showed the pharaohs not as distant gods, but as wise leaders with weary eyes and thoughtful expressions. Think of the massive irrigation projects in the Fayum Oasis, where the engineers tamed the waters of the Nile to create a vast, artificial lake, turning a swampy wasteland into the breadbasket of the ancient world. In the quiet workshops of the royal jewelers, master craftsmen worked with gold, lapis lazuli, and turquoise, creating intricate pectorals and crowns so delicate they seemed to be woven from light itself. This was also the time when the god Osiris became the heart of Egyptian faith, offering the promise that every soul, no matter how humble, could find eternal peace in the field of reeds if they lived a life of truth and kindness. Imagine a slow funeral boat drifting across the river at twilight, the steady dip of the oars creating soft ripples on the water, as the people sang hymns of hope for a peaceful journey into the afterlife. The Middle Kingdom was a bridge of light between the ancient past and the imperial future, a steady, calm heartbeat that reminded the world that even after a great darkness, there's always a sunrise waiting on the horizon.
As the shadows of the past faded, Egypt rose into its most magnificent and powerful era, the New Kingdom, a time of golden chariots, sprawling temples, and legendary names like Ramses, Hatshepsut, and Tutankhamun. Imagine the city of Thebes at its peak, where the sun rises over the massive stone pillars of the Karnak Temple, a forest of giant columns carved with the stories of gods and kings. The air is thick with the sweet smoke of frankincense and myrrh, imported from distant lands by the bold, Queen Hatshepsut, the woman who ruled as a pharaoh and brought peace and prosperity to the valley. This was the age of the Valley of the Kings, a secret, silent canyon hidden behind the western mountains, where the pharaohs were laid to rest in deep, rock-cut tombs painted with vibrant colors that still glow today. Imagine the young king, Tutankhamun, resting in his golden coffin, surrounded by thousands of treasures meant to accompany him into the eternal night. Golden chariots, ebony thrones, and masks of solid gold with eyes of obsidian. During this time, the great Ramses II built monuments so massive they seemed to be carved by the gods themselves, like Abu Simbel, where 4 giant statues of the king sit in eternal silence, watching the sun rise over the Nile for thousands of years. But beyond the gold and the stone, there was a profound sense of spiritual depth. The people lived with a constant awareness of the divine, believing that their every breath was a gift from the sun, God Ra. Imagine the cool evening breeze blowing through the limestone halls of a palace, the soft sound of a harp playing in the distance, and the feeling of absolute security in a world that felt like it would never end. It was a time of ultimate splendor, where the gold of the pharaohs was as common as the dust of the earth, and the empire stretched its wings across the horizon, basking in a glory that would haunt the dreams of humanity forever. As the long centuries began to stretch, and the world beyond the Nile started to change, the great Egyptian sun slowly began its descent toward the western horizon, entering a beautiful and melancholic twilight. The era of the great pyramid builders and the conquerors faded into a time of reflection, where the land was ruled by foreign kings, from the Persians to the Greeks. Yet the soul of Egypt remained stubbornly unchanged. Imagine the city of Alexandria, founded by the young conqueror Alexander the Great, where the massive lighthouse of Pharaohs cast its light over the Mediterranean, and the great library held the collective wisdom of the human race. Here, the last of the pharaohs, the legendary Cleopatra, sat on her throne of gold, a brilliant and graceful queen who spoke many languages and fought to keep her ancient kingdom alive in the face of the rising power of Rome. But even as the political power shifted, the Nile continued to flow, and the priests continued to mutter their ancient spells in the dim light of crumbling temples. Eventually, the age of the pharaohs came to a quiet close, as the last of the hieroglyphs were carved into the stone, and the desert sands began to slowly reclaim the sprawling cities and hidden tombs. Imagine the wind blowing through the empty halls of Luxor, slowly covering the fallen statues with a blanket of soft, golden sand, preserving them in a deep, undisturbed sleep for 2,000 years. Egypt did not disappear. It simply went to rest, becoming a land of myth and memory that waits for us in our dreams. As you drift into the final stages of sleep, imagine the vast, silent desert under a canopy of infinite stars, where the pyramids stand as eternal sentinels of a world that understood the secret of immortality, that nothing is ever truly lost. It only waits for the sun to rise once again. Now, let your mind drift away from the golden palaces and towering pyramids, and imagine yourself walking softly through a small village on the banks of the Nile 4,000 years ago. The air is cool in the pre-dawn light, smelling of baking emmer bread and the fresh, damp scent of the river reeds. Life here does not move with the ticking of a clock, but with the rising of the sun and the slow turning of the seasons. Imagine a simple house made of thick mud bricks, designed to keep the interior cool even when the Egyptian sun is at its peak. Inside, the floors are covered with woven reed mats, and the walls are painted with simple whitewash. A family awakens, not to a loud alarm, but to the natural symphony of the valley, the distant braying of a donkey, the soft chatter of neighbors, and the rhythmic splashing of the shaduf. As farmers lift water from the river to the thirsty fields, imagine the midday meal where people sit in the shade of a sycamore fig tree, eating dried fish, green onions, and sweet dates, washed down with thick, honey-colored barley ale. The children play in the dust with carved wooden toys, their laughter echoing through the narrow streets. There is no rush, no pressure of the modern world. There is only the task at hand, spinning flax into fine linen, carving a stone bowl, or tending to the golden stalks of wheat. As evening falls, the village gathers near the water, watching the fishermen bring in their nets, their boats silhouetted against a sky that looks like liquid gold. The elders tell stories of the gods, their voices low and steady, blending with the sound of the crickets. In this world, every action is a prayer, and every day is a small, beautiful loop in the tapestry of eternity. You can feel the weight of your body sinking into the cool, soft sand of time, realizing that these people, though separated from us by millennia, felt the same peace in the evening breeze that you feel now as you drift toward sleep. As the stars emerge in the desert sky, let us follow the sun god Ra on his most mysterious journey, the voyage through the Duat, the Egyptian underworld. This is not a place of fear, but a realm of profound silence and transformation, a landscape of hidden valleys and indigo rivers that exist beneath the earth. Imagine yourself on a celestial boat, gliding silently across a mirror-like lake that reflects 1,000 ancient constellations. The only sound is the rhythmic dip of the oars into the water, a sound so steady it feels like a heartbeat. Along the banks of this mystical river, you pass through 12 gates, each guarded by spirits of ancient wisdoms. To pass through, you do not need strength, you only need the truth. Imagine reaching the Hall of Two Truths, a vast chamber of white limestone and shimmering stars, where the heart of a traveler is weighed against the feather of Mahat, the feather of truth and cosmic balance. There is no judgment here, only a deep, quiet realization of one's own soul. If the heart is as light as the feather, the traveler is welcomed into the field of reeds, a celestial version of Egypt where the crops never fail, the water is always cool, and the sun never sets. It is a land of eternal homecoming, where you are reunited with everything you have ever loved. Imagine walking through fields of tall, golden grain that sway in a breeze that smells like jasmine and incense. There is no pain here, no weariness, only the absolute stillness of a soul that has finally found its rest. The journey through the night is nearly over, and as the boat of Ra prepares to emerge into the dawn, you feel yourself drifting further and further into the indigo depths of your own dreams, safe in the knowledge that the cycle of life and rebirth is as eternal as the stars above the pyramids. Imagine you are walking through the halls of the House of Life, a sacred library and school attached to a great temple. The air here is cool and smells deeply of crushed herbs, dried chamomile, and blue lotus. In ancient Egypt, medicine was not just a science, it was a quiet, spiritual art. The physicians here, known as the Sunu, understood that the body was a map of the soul. Imagine a scribe carefully leaning over a papyrus scroll, dipping his reed pen into black ink to record the secrets of healing. They believed the heart was the center of all thought and emotion, the drum that kept the rhythm of life. Think about their knowledge of the stars and how they used the movements of the planets to understand the cycles of health. They used honey to heal wounds, knowing its natural power to protect. And they used the willow tree, the ancestor of our modern aspirin, to quiet the pain of a fever. As you walk through the temple gardens, you see priests chanting low, rhythmic prayers over jars of oils. These were not just spells, but vibrations meant to calm the mind and relax the spirit. Imagine the absolute silence of a surgery performed under the light of 1,000 oil lamps, where the surgeon's hand is steady, guided by 1,000 years of tradition. They saw the human body as a sacred temple, and every bone and vessel was named after a god. In this world, there was no fear of the unknown, for everything had a place in the divine order. The soft sound of mortar and pestle grinding herbs becomes a lullaby, a steady beat that tells you that you are safe, you are cared for, and the wisdom of the ancients is watching over your rest. Let the scent of ancient incense fill your mind, carrying you deeper into a state of profound relaxation, where the secrets of the past become the dreams of your present. Now, let us stand in the shadow of the most mysterious guardian on earth, the Great Sphinx. Imagine it is the year 2500 BC, and you are standing on the Giza Plateau at midnight. The desert moon is so bright that the Sphinx casts a long, dark shadow across the golden sand. This massive creature, with the body of a lion and the head of a pharaoh, has sat in this exact spot for thousands of years, watching the sun rise every single morning. It is carved from a single ridge of limestone, a giant born from the very bones of the earth. Imagine the silence surrounding this monument, a silence that has lasted through the rise and fall of empires, through sandstorms that buried it up to its neck, and through the quiet footsteps of 1,000,000 travelers. The Sphinx is the keeper of secrets. Legend says that beneath its massive paws lies the Hall of Records, a hidden library containing the lost wisdom of a time before time. Imagine the cool, dark tunnels beneath the sand, where the air is still and heavy with the weight of forgotten history. The Sphinx does not speak, it only watches. Its eyes are fixed on the eastern horizon, waiting for the first light of Ra to touch its face. Feel the immense weight of the stone, the stability of a monument that refuses to move, even as the world around it changes. As you stand here in your mind, let the Sphinx's eternal patience become your own. There is no need to hurry, no need to seek answers. Like the Sphinx, you can simply exist in the stillness, silent observer of the passing ages. The desert wind brushes against the stone, a soft, hushed sound that whispers that you're part of something vast, something ancient, and something deeply, deeply peaceful. Imagine yourself sitting in the dim, flickering light of a temple scriptorium, where the air is thick with the scent of dried papyrus and old ink. Before you lies a long, golden scroll, waiting to be filled with the Medu Necher, the words of the gods. Hieroglyphs were not just a way to write, they were a way to breathe life into the universe. Every symbol, a soaring hawk, a blooming lotus, a steady eye, or a coiled snake, was believed to contain a spark of the object it represented. Imagine the absolute silence of the scribe as he dips his reed brush into a palette of black and red ink, his hand moving with a precision that has been practiced for decades. He is not just recording taxes or laws, he is carving a path to immortality. Think about the magic hidden in these shapes. The ancient Egyptians believed that if you wrote someone's name in stone, they would live as long as the stone endured. Imagine the walls of a deep, rock-cut tomb in the Valley of the Kings, covered from floor to ceiling with thousands of these intricate symbols, all glowing in the soft light of a torch. Each bird seems ready to fly from the wall. Each lion seems to breathe. As you look at these ancient carvings, you realize that for the Egyptians, there was no gap between art, magic, and language. Everything was connected. The scribe's work was a form of meditation, a slow and rhythmic dance of the hand that mirrored the slow movement of the stars. Let the image of these golden symbols fill your mind, each one a silent guardian of a forgotten story. Feel the stillness of the temple walls around you, the weight of thousands of years of recorded wisdom, and the profound peace that comes from knowing that some things are meant to last forever. Your mind, like the scribe's brush, begins to move slower and slower, tracing the elegant curves of the ancient signs until the world of light fades into the soft, velvet darkness of sleep. Now, let us leave the earth behind and look up at the infinite indigo canopy of the Egyptian night sky. For the people of the Nile, the sky was not an empty void. It was the body of the goddess Nut, arched over the world, her skin shimmering with a billion stars. Imagine standing on the roof of the Temple of Dendera at midnight, where the air is cool and the desert silence is absolute. The priests here were the watchers of the hours, men who spent their entire lives tracking the silent, rhythmic movements of the planets and the constellations. They watched the Great Bear and the North Star, using them to align the pyramids with a precision that still baffles the modern world. Imagine the goddess Nut swallowing the sun each evening, letting it travel through her star-filled body until it was reborn in the east at dawn. The Egyptians saw the stars as the imperishables, the souls of the blessed who had found their place in the eternal order. Think about the zodiac of Dendera, a massive stone ceiling carved with the figures of lions, bulls, and archers, all circling in a slow, celestial dance that has continued since the beginning of time. There is a deep, cosmic comfort in this predictability. The same stars that looked down on the building of the Great Pyramid are looking down on you now. They do not hurry, they do not flicker. They simply exist in a state of eternal calm. Imagine yourself floating upward, away from the warm sands, toward that indigo ceiling, drifting among the silent, glowing constellations. The universe feels vast, yet safe, a grand, orderly machine that hums a low, vibrational song of peace. As you watch the stars drift across the sky in their slow, ancient arcs, your eyelids grow heavy with the weight of the cosmos, and you sink deeper into the soft, starlit embrace of the Egyptian night. Imagine a place where the harsh heat of the desert is completely forgotten, a hidden sanctuary tucked away behind the high white walls of a noble's villa. This is the Egyptian garden, a masterpiece of balance and tranquility designed to be a living reflection of paradise on earth. As you step through the heavy wooden gates, the first thing you notice is the immediate drop in temperature. The air is cool, moist, and heavy with the intoxicating scent of blue lotus blossoms and jasmine. Imagine a perfectly rectangular pool in the center of the garden, its surface as still as a mirror, reflecting the deep blue of the sky and the overhanging branches of sycamore, fig, and pomegranate trees. Large, flat pads of water lilies float lazily on the water, and occasionally a small silver fish breaks the surface, creating tiny, concentric ripples that drift slowly toward the limestone edges. You walk along a shaded path lined with tall, slender palm trees that rustle softly in the breeze, a sound that mimics the distant falling of rain. There is no hurry here. The only task is to breathe and observe. Imagine sitting on a low stone bench, watching a dragonfly with iridescent wings hover over a cluster of papyrus reeds. The garden is a symphony of soft colors, the deep emerald of the leaves, the pale turquoise of the water, and the golden sunlight filtering through the canopy. The ancient Egyptians believed that a garden was a place where the soul could find rest and renewal, a bridge between the busy world of the living and the eternal peace of the afterlife. As you sit in this imagined shade, feel the tension leaving your body, muscle by muscle, the rhythmic sound of a distant water wheel. The sakia becomes a hypnotic lullaby, turning over and over, carrying the life-giving water to every corner of this green haven. The garden is a world unto itself, a place of absolute safety and stillness where time has simply stopped moving. Let the scent of the lotus flowers fill your mind, wrapping you in a blanket of floral sweetness as you drift deeper into the lush, green shadows of ancient memory. Now, let us move beyond the green fringe of the river and step into the great red land, the Deshret, the vast, silent ocean of sand that surrounds the Nile Valley. This is a place of immense power and profound solitude, a landscape that has remained unchanged for millions of years. Imagine standing atop a high golden dune just as the sun begins to set. The sand beneath your feet is still warm from the day's heat, but the air around you is turning crisp and cool. As the sun dips lower, the desert transforms into a sea of fire. Shades of deep orange, burnt sienna, and royal purple stretch across the horizon in every direction. There are no trees here, no buildings, no voices. There is only the infinite expanse of the earth meeting the sky. Imagine the sound of the desert. It is not a true silence, but a soft, constant whisper as the wind carries microscopic grains of sand across the dunes, reshaping the world in slow, invisible movements. The ancient Egyptians looked at this desert with awe, seeing it as the domain of the god Set, a place of mystery and testing. But in the twilight, the desert feels like a protective embrace, a barrier that kept the valley safe from the outside world for millennia. Think of the caravans of camels and donkeys that once moved across these sands, their bells tinkling softly in the distance, guided by the stars. Now, all that remains is the wind and the moonlight. As the stars begin to pierce through the darkening sky, the sand turns from gold to a pale, ghostly silver. The desert is a place of absolute purity, where everything unnecessary is stripped away, leaving only the essence of existence. Feel yourself becoming as light as a grain of sand, carried by the gentle desert breeze, floating over the undulating curves of the dunes. There is no path you must follow, no destination you must reach. You are simply a part of the vast, quiet pulse of the earth. Let the infinite horizon of the desert expand in your mind, creating a space of total emptiness and total peace, where your thoughts can finally come to a rest in the cool, silver stillness of the Egyptian night. Imagine you are walking through the torch-lit corridors of a great temple during a festival of the goddess Hathor, the lady of music and joy. The air is not just filled with the scent of incense, but with a low, vibrating hum that seems to come from the very stones themselves. In ancient Egypt, music was not merely entertainment, it was a divine frequency, a way to align the human heartbeat with the rhythm of the cosmos. Imagine the sistrum, a sacred rattle made of bronze or gold, being shaken slowly by a priestess. Its soft, metallic, shimmering sound mimics the wind, blowing through a field of papyrus, a sound designed to drive away the shadows and invite the light. Think of the ancient harps, carved from fine cedar and decorated with the golden head of a gazelle or a pharaoh. The harpist sits on a woven mat, his fingers moving with slow, deliberate grace across the gut strings. Each note is long and resonant, hanging in the warm evening air like a drop of honey. There are no frantic rhythms here, only a steady, flowing melody that mirrors the movement of the Nile. Imagine the sound of a long, wooden flute, its hollow, breathy tone echoing off the high limestone walls, sounding like a lonely bird calling across a misty lake at dawn. The Egyptians believed that certain notes could heal the body and quiet a troubled mind. As you listen to this imagined music in your mind, feel the vibrations traveling through the air, touching your skin like a soft silk veil. The music is a bridge between the physical and the spiritual, a gentle hand that leads you away from the noise of the modern world and into a sanctuary of sound. Imagine the deep, resonant thrum of a hand drum beating slowly like a resting heart, one beat, then another, steady and sure. This is the pulse of the ancient world, a sound that has existed since the first sunrise. Let the melody wrap around you, pulling you deeper into your pillows as the golden notes of the harp fade into the velvet silence of the Egyptian night, leaving you in a state of perfect melodic peace. Now, let us turn our gaze to the silent companions of the Egyptians, the sacred animals that were seen as the living shadows of the gods. Imagine a sun-drenched courtyard where a golden lion stretches lazily in the heat, its amber eyes watching the horizon with an eternal, royal patience. To the Egyptians, every creature, was a vessel of divine energy. Imagine the graceful Mao, the ancient cat, sitting perfectly still on a limestone windowsill. Its fur is as soft as the desert dusk, and its eyes are like two glowing emeralds. The cat was the protector of the home, a silent guardian that could see into the spirit world. Imagine the feeling of stroking its cool, sleek fur as it purrs, a low, rhythmic vibration that feels like the earth itself is humming in contentment. Think of the majestic ibis, with its long curved beak and snow-white feathers, standing silently in the shallow waters of the Nile. It represents Thoth, the god of wisdom and time. Every movement of the bird is slow and intentional, a dance of pure focus. And then, imagine the great falcon, Horus, soaring high above the pyramids on the warm thermal winds. From its height, the world below looks like a tiny golden toy, a land of perfect order and peace. Even the smallest creatures, like the scarab beetle, were sacred. Imagine it rolling its tiny ball of earth across the sand, a symbol of the sun being moved across the skies. There is a profound sense of connection in this world, a belief that humans, animals, and gods are all part of the same breathing family. As you imagine these sacred creatures, feel their ancient, quiet energy surrounding you. The strength of the lion, the grace of the cat, and the wisdom of the ibis are all here to guard your sleep. You are protected, you are watched over, and you are part of this grand, living cycle. Let the image of the golden falcon's wings spread wide in your mind, casting a soft, protective shadow over your bed. As you drift into a deep, animal-like rest, where the only sound is the quiet breathing of the ancient land, imagine leaving the bright, golden heat of the Nile Valley and journeying deep into the heart of the Western Mountains to a hidden canyon known as the Valley of the Kings. Here, the air is perfectly still, heavy with the weight of 3,000 years of silence. You are standing before a small, inconspicuous opening in the limestone cliff, the entrance to a royal tomb. As you step inside, the temperature drops instantly, and the dry, cool air smells faintly of cedar oil, dried natron, and ancient dust. Imagine descending a long, sloping corridor carved directly into the bedrock. Your torchlight flickers against the walls, revealing a Bichol gallery of vibrant colors that have never seen the light of day. These are not just paintings, they are maps for the soul's journey through the stars. Imagine the deep lapis lazuli blues, the rich ochre reds, and the shimmering golds that cover every square inch of the stone. You pass through massive pillared halls where the gods Osiris and Anubis stand in eternal welcome, their hands extended in a gesture of peace. The silence here is absolute, a silence so deep it feels like a physical embrace. Think about the thousands of artisans who worked in the dim light of oil lamps to create this masterpiece, not for the eyes of the living, but for the quiet gaze of eternity. Finally, you reach the burial chamber, where a massive quartzite sarcophagus rests in the center of the room. Inside, the pharaoh sleeps, surrounded by golden chariots, ebony thrones, and jars of precious oils. There is no fear in this place, only a profound sense of preparation and rest. The tomb is a stone cocoon, a place of transformation where the king waits for his moment to be reborn. Imagine sitting on the cool stone floor of this sacred chamber, feeling the immense layers of the mountain above you, protecting you from the noise and chaos of the outer world. You are safe in the heart of the earth, wrapped in a silence that has lasted for millennia. Let this stillness settle into your bones, slowing your pulse and carrying your mind into a deep, dreamless slumber in the sanctuary of the kings. Now, let us emerge from the cool depths of the earth and look upward once more, far beyond the peaks of the pyramids, to the indigo ceiling of the universe, to the ancient Egyptians. The night sky was the goddess Nut, her body arched in a protective curve over the world, her skin shimmering with the light of 1,000,000,000,000 diamonds. Imagine you are standing on the highest terrace of a temple at midnight, where the desert wind is just a soft whisper against your face. The priests who stood here were the watchers of the hours, and they knew that the stars were the true compass of the soul. Imagine them tracking the imperishable stars, the ones we call the circumpolar stars, the stars that never set and never disappear below the horizon. For the Egyptians, these stars were the ultimate goal, a place of eternal life where the soul would never have to face the darkness. Think about the constellation of Orion, the great hunter, whom they saw as Osiris, the Lord of rebirth. Every night, Osiris strides across the heavens, his belt of 3 stars glowing with a steady blue-white light, and beside him is Sopdet, the star Sirius, the brightest light in the sky, whose return signaled the rising of the Nile and the rebirth of the land. Imagine the priests using long, wooden instruments called merkets to align the temples with the stars, ensuring that the architecture of earth was a perfect mirror of the architecture of heaven. There is a cosmic rhythm to this movement, a slow and majestic clockwork that has never skipped a beat. As you watch the stars drift in their long, ancient arcs, you realize that you too are a part of this celestial dance. You are made of the same stardust, moving toward the same eternal rest. Imagine yourself lying on a boat made of papyrus, floating on a river of stars, drifting slowly through the body of the goddess Nut. The universe is wide and calm and perfectly ordered. Let the light of the North Star be your guide as you drift further away from the earth, floating into the infinite indigo peace of the Egyptian night. Imagine yourself standing at the very edge of the known world, where the green valley begins to blur into the misty purple mountains of the far south. For thousands of years, the source of the Nile was the greatest mystery on earth, a secret kept by the gods themselves. To the ancient Egyptians, the river didn't just flow from the mountains, it flowed from the first time, the moment of creation. Imagine the absolute silence of a high plateau where the air is thin and cold, and the first trickles of water begin to seep from the earth. This is the beginning of the lifeblood of Egypt. In the temple of Philae, the priests spoke of a hidden cavern beneath the rocks of Elephantine, where the god Khnum, the divine potter, sat at his wheel, turning the waters of the Nile and the clay of the earth into human souls. Think about the long, slow journey of a single drop of water, traveling thousands of miles through sun-scorched deserts and rocky cataracts to reach the thirsty fields of the delta. There is a profound sense of destiny in this flow. Imagine the Nile at night, reflecting the silver light of the moon so perfectly that it looks like a second sky has fallen to the earth. The river is a living, breathing being, a silent witness to every pharaoh, every farmer, and every dream that has ever existed in this land. As you imagine the water moving slowly past you, feel its ancient, cooling energy. It carries away the heat of the day, the noise of the world, and the heavy thoughts of the mind. You are drifting with the current, moving toward the infinite sea, guided by the same steady pulse that has sustained life for 5,000 years. The river is eternal. Its source is divine, and its destination is peace. Let the sound of the water ripples fill your mind, a liquid lullaby that tells you that you are part of a flow that never ends, a journey that is as old as time itself. And now we reach the final chapter of our journey, a time of long shadows and golden memories. The age of the Pharaohs eventually bowed to the passing of time, but their spirit never truly left the sand. Imagine the last priest of Isis standing in the fading light of a crumbling temple, carving the very last hieroglyph into a stone pillar. He knew that even if the temples fell, the story of Egypt would remain written in the stars and carved into the very bones of the earth. Think about the silence that fell over the Valley of the Kings for 2,000 years, a deep, undisturbed slumber where the golden masks and sapphire inlaid thrones waited in the dark, cool earth. This was not a death, but a long hibernation. Imagine the moment when the world rediscovered these secrets, the dust being brushed away to reveal colors as bright as the day they were painted. The legacy of Egypt is not found in its wars or its wealth, but in its absolute belief that life is eternal and beauty is divine. As you prepare to enter your own deepest sleep, imagine the pyramids standing as silent sentinels on the horizon, their limestone peaks catching the very last rays of the sun. The desert wind whispers through the ruins, a soft, hushed song of a civilization that understood the secret of rest. You are now a part of this history. Your breath is the wind, your body is the warm sand, and your soul is a star in the body of the goddess Nut. Everything is in its place. The world is in balance. The gods have given their blessing for a night of perfect, uninterrupted peace. The light is fading, the sand is cool, and the river is calm. Rest now in the golden embrace of the ancient world, and let your dreams be filled with the timeless beauty of the Nile. Imagine walking through a marketplace in ancient Thebes, but instead of the noise and the crowd, focus only on the air itself. The air is thick, sweet, and heavy with the scent of 1,000 different flowers and resins. In ancient Egypt, scent was the breath of the gods. Imagine a small, blue glass vessel held in your hand, cool to the touch. Inside is Kifi, the most sacred incense of the temples. It is made from 16 different ingredients: honey, wine, raisins, myrrh, and juniper berries, all ground together in a slow, rhythmic motion by the priests. Imagine the scent as the kaifi is placed on a glowing coal. A thick, white smoke rises, curling like a silver snake toward the ceiling. It is a scent that doesn't just fill the room, It fills the mind, slowing your thoughts until they are as calm as a summer pond. Think about the anointing oils, the thick, golden liquids made from pressed moringa seeds and scented with the delicate petals of the blue lotus. Imagine the feeling of this oil being massaged into your skin, a warmth that spreads through your body, relaxing every muscle from your forehead to your toes. The Egyptians believed that to be beautiful was to be holy, and to smell sweet was to be close to the divine. Even the statues of the gods were anointed every morning with these precious oils, their stone faces glowing in the soft light of the oil lamps. As you imagine these scents, the spicy warmth of cinnamon, the earthy depth of frankincense, and the floral sweetness of lilies, let them wrap around you like a soft, invisible blanket. Your breathing becomes deep and steady, synchronized with the slow rising of the incense smoke. You are drifting away from the physical world, carried by the fragrant winds of the past, into a state of total aromatic bliss where the only thing that exists is the quiet, sweet smell of eternity. Now, let us turn our attention to the tactile world, the world of touch and texture. Imagine standing in a quiet courtyard where the only sound is the steady, rhythmic clack-clack of a wooden loom. Before you is a weaver, her hands moving with the grace of a dancer as she turns flax fibers into the finest linen the world has ever seen. The ancient Egyptians called linen woven moonlight because of its pale, shimmering glow. Imagine reaching out and touching a bolt of this fabric. It is cool, incredibly soft, and as light as a whisper against your skin. This was the fabric of the pharaohs and the fabric of the common people, a gift from the goddess Isis to keep the body cool under the desert sun. Think about the process. The long, green stalks of flax being soaked in the waters of the Nile, dried in the golden sun, and then beaten until only the softest fibers remain. There is a deep, meditative quality to this work. Every thread is a line of time. Every knot is a moment of focus. Imagine yourself wrapped in a robe of this pure white linen. It doesn't cling. It floats around you like a cloud. As you lie in your bed now, imagine your sheets transforming into this ancient, hand-woven fabric. Feel the coolness of the linen against your limbs, the way it allows your body to breathe and release all the heat and tension of the day. You are draped in the same softness that covered the kings and queens of old. The steady rhythm of the weaver's loom becomes a heartbeat in the background of your mind. Clack, 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 slowing down, getting softer and softer. The white fabric of the linen becomes the white mist of your dreams, a soft and protective cocoon that holds you safe as you drift into the deepest, most restful sleep of your life.
Imagine you are sitting in a secret room deep within the temple of Thoth, the god of wisdom. The walls are lined with thousands of clay jars, each containing a different secret of the universe. In ancient Egypt, magic was not something strange or chaotic. It was called Heka, the primordial energy that existed before the stars were born. Heka was the breath of life, the invisible thread that connected the heart of a human to the heart of the sun. Imagine a priest standing in the center of the room, holding a wand carved from the tusk of a hippopotamus, decorated with the symbols of protection. He does not shout his spells, he whispers them. The words are low, rhythmic, and vibrating, sounding like the humming of 1,000 bees in a field of flowers. Think about the amulets, the tiny carved scarabs and ajat eyes made of bright blue faience. Imagine holding one in your palm. It is cool and smooth, yet it feels heavy with the intention of safety. The Egyptians believed that words had the power to shape reality. As you lie in your bed now, imagine a circle of protective light being drawn around you by an ancient scribe. This light is warm, soft, and impenetrable. It carries the energy of Heka, a force that quietens the storms of the mind and silences the noise of the world. You are surrounded by a field of ancient peace, where no worry can reach you and no shadow can linger. The soft, repetitive chanting of the priest becomes a distant echo, a pulse that matches the steady rise and fall of your chest. Heka, Heka, the energy of the earth, the energy of the stars, flowing through you, relaxing every fiber of your being. Let the power of this ancient silence wrap around your thoughts, turning them into soft, glowing embers that slowly fade into the darkness of a deep, magical sleep. Now, let us walk together toward the great temple of Karnak at the hour when the moon is high and the priests have all gone to rest. Imagine the massive pylons, the great sloping gates, towering over you like man-made mountains. As you pass through the entrance, you enter the great hypostyle hall, a forest of 134 massive stone columns. Each column is so wide that it would take 10 people to circle it with their arms. Imagine the silence of this forest of stone. The ceiling is so high that it is lost in the shadows, painted with golden stars to represent the night sky. Your footsteps make no sound on the cool, sand-dusted floor. You are walking through a map of the universe, where the floor is the earth, the columns are the giant stalks of papyrus rising from the primeval marsh, and the ceiling is heaven. Think about the precision of the stone cutters, how they carved the giant obelisks from a single piece of pink granite and polished them until they shone like mirrors. These obelisks were like needles of light, connecting the earth to the sun. Imagine sitting at the base of one of these giants, feeling the ancient stability of the rock against your back. Stone does not hurry, stone does not worry. It simply exists, holding the memory of thousands of years within its layers. As you rest in this imagined temple, feel your own body becoming as still and as solid as the stone. There is a profound sense of permanence here. The world outside may change, the centuries may pass, but this hall of silence remains. Let the vastness of the temple expand in your mind, creating a space of absolute stillness where your soul can finally expand and breathe. The shadows between the columns are soft and welcoming, inviting you to let go of the day and sink into the eternal architecture of rest. You are a small, peaceful point in a grand, stone universe, drifting deeper into the cool, dark heart of the temple's embrace. Imagine it is a night of the black moon, and you are drifting alone in a small, elegant papyrus skiff on the center of the Nile. There are no oars, no sails, the river itself is carrying you, moving with a slow, invisible power. The water is so dark and so still that it acts as a perfect mirror for the stars above, making it feel as if you are floating in the very center of the galaxy. Every once in a while, the surface of the water ripples as a giant lotus flower unfolds in the moonlight, its petals ivory white and smelling of celestial sweetness. Think about the thousands of years of prayers and hopes that have been whispered into this water. The Nile is not just a river of water, it is a river of time, a living library of everything that has ever happened in this golden land. Imagine the cool mist rising from the surface, touching your face like a soft, damp cloth. It carries with it the breath of the mountains and the secrets of the sea. As you drift, you pass the silhouettes of ancient temples, their stone walls glowing faintly in the starlight. You can hear the distant, muffled sound of a priest's evening chant, a low vibration that blends perfectly with the soft lapping of the water against your boat. There is no destination, no port you need to reach tonight. The river knows where you are going, and its only job is to hold you, to protect you, and to carry you toward the morning. Feel the rhythmic swaying of the boat, a gentle, side-to-side motion that mimics the heartbeat of the earth. You are safe. You are at peace. The river of souls is taking care of you, washing away every worry and every thought, leaving you as light and as free as a reflection on the water. Finally, we arrive at the ultimate destination of the Egyptian soul, the Aru, or the Field of Reeds. Imagine walking through a shimmering veil of mist and stepping into a landscape that feels more real, more vibrant, and more peaceful than anything you have ever known. This is the eternal version of the Nile Valley, a place where the sun is always golden but never burns, and the breeze is always cool and smells of honey and wild lilies. Imagine fields of wheat that grow as tall as a man, swaying in a slow, hypnotic dance. Here, the work is never a burden, it is a joy, a way to be one with the earth. Think of the people you have loved, waiting for you on the banks of a crystal-clear stream, their faces young and full of light. In the field of reeds, there is no pain, no hunger, and no weariness. It is a land of eternal homecoming. Imagine sitting on the grass under a giant sycamore tree, the same tree that provided shade to the pharaohs, and feeling a sense of absolute completion. Your journey is over. The weighing of the heart is finished, and you have been found as light as a feather. You are now a part of the imperishables, the stars that shine forever in the body of Nut. Every breath you take in this place is a breath of pure peace. The sky above is a deep, comforting indigo, and the stars are so close they feel like old friends. As you close your eyes in this imagined paradise, let the warmth of the eternal sun settle into your chest. You are home. You are eternal. You are at rest. The ancient world is closing its eyes with you, wrapping you in its golden embrace as you sink into the deepest, most beautiful sleep that has ever existed. Imagine returning once more to the Giza Plateau, but this time, the night is so deep that even the pyramids are but shadows against the star-dusted sky. You are standing directly between the massive paws of the Great Sphinx. The stone beneath you is cool, and the desert air carries a faint, ancient scent of dried cedar and windblown sand. Imagine looking up into the face of this giant sentinel. For over 4,000 years, it has not blinked, it has not moved, and it has not spoken a single word to the world of men. But in this absolute silence, you begin to hear its heartbeat, a slow, deep vibration that feels like the pulse of the earth itself. The Sphinx is the guardian of the threshold, the watcher of the rising sun. Imagine the immense patience it takes to sit for millennia, watching empires rise like dust and fall like shadows, while remaining completely unchanged. Think about the dreams the Sphinx must have had during the long centuries it was buried up to its neck in sand, dreaming of the first pharaohs and the gods who walked among men. As you lean your head against the weathered limestone, feel that same monumental patience entering your own body. There is no need to hurry toward tomorrow. There is no need to solve the mysteries of your life tonight. Like the Sphinx, you can simply be. You are a part of the landscape, a part of the eternal silence. The desert wind whispers a secret into your ear, a secret that says time is an illusion, and peace is the only truth. Let your breath become as slow and steady as the desert wind, and let your mind become as still as the ancient stone, as you drift into a sleep that is as deep and as timeless as the gaze of the Sphinx. Now, let us watch the very last sunset of our journey together. Imagine standing on the highest terrace of a temple as the great golden disk of Ra touches the edge of the western desert. The sky is a riot of impossible colors, deep violet, burning amber, and a soft, dusky rose that seems to glow from within. This is the moment the ancient Egyptians called the beautiful West, the gateway to the eternal rest. Imagine the long, blue shadows of the obelisk stretching across the sand, pointing the way toward the afterlife. The Nile below is a ribbon of liquid fire, reflecting the dying light of the day. Slowly, the sun disappears, leaving behind a world of silver twilight and cool breezes. The lights of the village fires begin to flicker out, one by one, until the entire land of Kemet is wrapped in a blanket of sacred darkness. This is the peace that the pharaoh sought, the stillness that the pyramids were built to protect. It is a peace that belongs to you now. Every story we have told, every temple we have visited, and every river we have crossed has been a step leading you to this moment of absolute surrender. The history of Egypt is no longer a series of dates or names, it is a feeling of being held by the universe, of being safe in the hands of time. As the last embers of the sun fade away, imagine the stars of Nut opening their eyes above you, welcoming you back to the infinite home from which you came. You are tired, you are calm, and you are ready. The Nile is silent. The desert is still. The gods are resting. And now, you too may close your eyes and sink into the golden, eternal sleep of the ancient world. Good night, traveler of the Nile. Your journey is complete. Imagine, in the deepest part of your consciousness, a staircase of white alabaster leading down into a cool, silent chamber beneath the sands of Egypt. This is the Hall of Records, a place that exists between the world of history and the world of dreams. As you descend, the air becomes incredibly pure, tasting of ancient cedar and the crispness of mountain air. There are no torches here, yet the room is filled with a soft, blue light that seems to emanate from the walls themselves. Imagine miles of shelves carved from obsidian, holding the collective memory of every soul that has ever walked along the Nile. There is no sound here, only the profound silence of knowledge at rest. You walk slowly, your hand brushing against the cold stone, feeling the vibrations of 5,000 years of wisdom. Here, every dream dreamed by a pharaoh, every song sung by a farmer, and every prayer whispered by a mother is preserved in light. Imagine sitting in the center of this hall on a chair of polished ebony. You are not here to read, you are here to remember. You are here to remember that you are part of an unbroken chain of life. The ceiling of this hall is a giant piece of translucent quartz, through which you can see the distorted, shimmering shapes of the stars above. As you sit in this sanctuary, feel the enormous weight of the desert above you, not as a burden, but as a thick, protective shield that keeps you safe from the chaos of the modern world. You are in a vault of peace, a bunker of tranquility. Every breath you take draws in the ancient stillness of this room, filling your lungs with the essence of time. Your mind is like a blank scroll, open and ready to receive the soft, inkless writing of sleep. The Hall of Records is closing its doors for the night, and you are staying inside, safe, sound, and surrounded by the eternal quiet of the ages. Our long journey through the history of Kemet is coming to a complete and perfect circle. Imagine the great cycle of the sun. Ra has traveled through the day, through the underworld, and is now preparing for the eternal dawn. But for you, the dawn is a long way off. You are staying in the soft, velvet embrace of the night. Imagine yourself becoming as light as a single grain of golden sand. You are being picked up by a gentle, warm wind and carried across the Giza Plateau, over the Sphinx, and out toward the infinite horizon of the Sahara. Everything you have seen, the pyramids, the golden masks, the lotus gardens, and the starry skies, is now a part of you. They are not outside of you, they are the landscape of your dreams. Imagine the great Nile River shrinking until it is just a silver thread, and then a tiny pulse in your own heart. The history of Egypt is the history of your own rest, the search for balance, the search for Ma'at, and the search for the eternal home. As you drift further and further away from the physical world, the names and dates fade away, leaving only a feeling of warmth and security. The desert is calling you back to its original silence. The stars are blinking out one by one, giving you permission to let go of the last thread of consciousness. There is nothing left to hear. There is nothing left to see. There is only the dark, warm, and loving ocean of sleep. You are floating on the cosmic waters of Nun, the primeval ocean from which all life began. You are back at the source. You are back in the beginning. You are infinite. You are still. You are asleep. Sleep, sleep, in the land of the golden sun and the silver moon. The journey is over. The rest is forever. Good night. Imagine you are sitting in the courtyard of a temple library, the House of Life. It is early morning, and the world is silent except for the soft rustle of dry papyrus. You are watching a master scribe as he prepares his tools. There is no rush here. Imagine the slow, meditative process of grinding black ink from soot and red ink from ochre, mixing them with a few drops of water and gum arabic. The sound of the stone pestle against the palette is a rhythmic, steady scrape, scrape, scrape. This scribe is not just writing, he is an architect of memory. Every brushstroke is a prayer. Imagine the feel of the reed pen in your hand, light as a feather but holding the weight of eternity. As he begins to draw the hieroglyph for life, the Ankh, watch the ink flow slowly onto the golden surface of the papyrus. The paper is slightly rough, textured with the fibers of the Nile. Each character he writes, a bird, a snake, a golden sun, is a door to another world. Think about the silence of this work. For hours, he sits in the same position, his breathing deep and steady, his mind focused entirely on the curve of a single line. This focus is like a shield against the passage of time. As you watch him work, feel your own thoughts slowing down to match the movement of his brush. One stroke at a time, one word at a time, one story at a time. The ink dries slowly in the warm air, sealing the secrets of Egypt forever. You are safe in this quiet library, surrounded by thousands of scrolls that have slept for millennia. Let the rhythmic scraping of the scribe's tools be the sound that carries you deeper into your own inner temple of silence. Let us leave the library and walk into the most beautiful garden ever imagined, the sacred groves of the Temple of Karnak at midnight. The moon is so bright that the white limestone paths seem to glow from within. Imagine the scent of the blue lotus flowers opening their petals in the cool night air. The fragrance is deep, floral, and slightly spicy, a scent that was said to bring the gods down to earth. You walk toward a circular pool of water, perfectly still, like a sheet of dark glass. Around the edges are thick groves of sycamore and pomegranate trees, their shadows long and velvety on the ground. Imagine the sound of the wind moving through the palm fronds, a soft, dry rustling that sounds like 1,000 whispers. Shh. Shhh. This is the breath of the garden. You sit by the water and watch the reflection of the great pylon gates. The stone is so massive, yet in the water, it looks as delicate as a dream. There is no noise from the city here, no sound of animals, only the heartbeat of the garden. The ancient Egyptians believed that trees had spirits, and as you lean against the rough bark of an old acacia tree, feel its steady, ancient strength supporting you. It has stood here for 100 years, and it will stand for 100 more. There is no need to move. There is no need to think. Just breathe in the scent of the lotus and the cool air of the night. You are a guest in the garden of the gods, and tonight, the only task is to rest among the silver shadows and the silent water. Now, imagine traveling far away from the river, deep into the heart of the great western desert. For days, there is only sand and sky, but then, like a miracle, a patch of brilliant green appears on the horizon. This is a hidden oasis, a secret jewel tucked away in a valley of golden dunes. As you approach, you hear the most beautiful sound in the world, the bubbling of a natural spring as it rises from the deep, cool layers of the earth. The water is crystal clear and surprisingly cold. Imagine kneeling by the spring and dipping your hands into the water, feeling the chill spread through your fingers and up your arms. Around the spring are small clusters of date palms, heavy with fruit that tastes like honey and sunlight. The air here is different than by the river. It is incredibly dry and pure, carrying the scent of wild lavender and sun-baked rock. This oasis is a place of total refuge. Here, time has no meaning. The dunes protect you from the wind, and the spring provides everything you need. Imagine lying down on a bed of soft moss near the water's edge. The sound of the spring, drip, splash, drip, is a natural metronome, slowing your pulse and calming your nerves. In this hidden world, you are invisible to the rest of the universe. You are a secret, safe and sound in the heart of the desert. Let the isolation of the oasis be your comfort. There are no responsibilities here, no past, and no future. There is only the cool water, the green shade, and the infinite, golden silence of the dunes. Imagine walking through the stone corridors of the royal palace in Memphis as the sun begins to dip below the horizon. You are headed toward the great kitchens, where the air is thick and heavy with the most comforting scents imaginable. This is not a place of rush, but a place of ancient tradition. Imagine the smell of freshly ground emmer wheat being baked into thick, crusty loaves of bread in beehive-shaped clay ovens. The scent is warm, earthy, and sweet, filling your lungs and grounding your spirit. You see a baker dusting a wooden table with fine white flour, his movements slow and rhythmic, like a dance that has been performed for thousands of years. Nearby, jars of dark, viscous honey are being poured into stone bowls, the liquid moving as slowly as the Nile itself. Imagine the scent of wild thyme, coriander, and cumin being crushed in a granite mortar. The rhythmic clinking of the stone is a lullaby of the domestic world. There are baskets of sun-ripened pomegranates, their deep red skins bursting with juice that tastes like tart rubies. Imagine the cooling scent of fresh mint and cucumbers laid out on wet linen cloths to keep them crisp. The kitchen is a sanctuary of abundance. As you watch the golden oil of the morinah tree being drizzled over roasted ducks and honey-glazed figs, you feel a sense of profound nourishment. In this world, food is not just fuel, it is a gift from the earth, a celebration of the sun's energy stored in every grain and fruit. Imagine sitting on a low stool in a quiet corner of this kitchen, watching the embers of the ovens glow like dying stars. The warmth of the room wraps around you like a heavy wool blanket, making your eyelids feel heavy and your heart feel full. You are safe, you are fed, and the world is at peace. Let the scent of warm bread and sweet honey carry you into a state of deep, physical contentment, where every muscle in your body finally finds its rest. Now, let us leave the earth entirely and journey to the Sky River, the celestial Nile that we know as the Milky Way. To the ancient Egyptians, the stars were not distant suns, but a mirror image of the river below. Imagine floating in a boat made of pure starlight, drifting along this glowing path of white and silver. The air here is not cold, but perfectly still and silent, like the inside of a crystal. You are surrounded by the Aku, the shining spirits of the ancestors who have become stars. Imagine the light from these millions of suns touching your skin, a soft, vibrating warmth that feels like a gentle hum in your bones. You pass by the constellation of the Great Hippo and the Celestial Crocodile, guardians of the cosmic order. The movement of your boat is effortless. You are being carried by the Heka, the magic that keeps the universe in motion. Think about the scale of this journey. The earth below is now just a distant, golden memory, a small island of green in a sea of indigo. Here, in the Sky River, there is no time. There is no day and no night, only the eternal now. Imagine the peace of being untethered from the world, floating in a realm where everything is made of light and silence. You are moving toward the imperishable stars at the North Pole of the heavens, the place of ultimate stability. As you drift deeper into the silver mist of the galaxy, feel your own spirit expanding to fill the vastness of the space around you. You are not small, you are as large as the sky. The stars are your brothers, the moon is your sister, and the indigo void is your mother. Let the infinite light of the celestial Nile wash over your mind, erasing every worry and every shadow, leaving you in a state of pure, cosmic weightlessness as you sink into the stars. In the quiet city of Sais, in the temple of the goddess Neith, there is a loom that spans the entire universe. Neith is the weaver of destiny, the one who wove the world into existence with a golden shuttle. Imagine sitting at her feet in the cool, blue shadows of her inner sanctum. The only sound is the rhythmic clack-swish of her loom. She is weaving the fabric of the night. Imagine the thread she is using. It is made of liquid moonlight and the silk of the desert spider. As she weaves, she hums a low, ancient melody that sounds like the wind moving through the mountain passes. Every thread represents a life, a dream, a breath. Imagine your own life being woven into this great tapestry. The threads are strong, soft, and perfectly aligned. There are no tangles here, no knots of anxiety, only the smooth, flowing motion of the weaver's hand. The goddess looks at you with eyes that have seen the beginning and the end of time, and she smiles a slow, silent smile. She is weaving a special section of the tapestry just for you, a section made of deep indigo and soft silver, the colors of a perfect sleep. Imagine the fabric being laid over you, a weightless, invisible shroud of protection that keeps you safe from the world. You are being woven back into the heart of the universe, back into the pattern of peace. The rhythmic sound of the loom becomes the rhythm of your own breathing, clack-swish, in and out, clack-swish, deep and slow. You are a part of the grand design, and the weaver has ensured that your thread is secure, your path is soft, and your rest is eternal. Deep in the eastern desert, far from the sounds of the river, lie the ancient alabaster quarries of Hatnub. Imagine standing in a Bishal canyon of translucent, white stone that glows like frozen light. This is where the Egyptians gathered the stone for their most sacred vessels and statues. The silence here is unlike any other. It is a solid, heavy silence that feels as if it has been trapped in the rock for millions of years. Imagine the sun hitting the walls of the quarry, making the stone look like it is made of solid honey or clouds. You walk through the white dust, which is as soft as powdered sugar under your feet. Every step is muffled. You find a large, smooth block of alabaster and sit against it. The stone is surprisingly cool, and as you press your palm against it, you can feel its ancient, slow vibration. Stone does not hurry, stone does not fear the passing of time. It has watched the mountains rise and the seas retreat. Imagine your own mind becoming like this alabaster, clear, solid, and filled with light. The worries of your day are like dust on the surface of the stone. A single breath of the desert wind blows them away, leaving only the pure, unyielding core of your being. In this quarry of light, you are hidden from the world. The high walls of stone protect you, and the blue sky above is your only witness. Feel the weight of the earth around you, providing a sense of absolute security. You are grounded, you are stable, and you are as enduring as the stone. Let the silence of the alabaster fill your soul, turning your thoughts into smooth, white monuments of peace as you drift into a sleep that is as solid and as deep as the heart of the mountain. Imagine you are standing at the edge of a sacred lake, just as the first silver light of the moon touches the water. This lake is filled with thousands of blue lotus flowers, the most sacred plant of ancient Egypt. The Egyptians believed the sun was born from a lotus, and tonight, you are watching them prepare for their own nightly rest. Imagine the scent. It is a deep, floral sweetness, mixed with the smell of cool water and wet earth. It is an intoxicating fragrance that slows your heart rate the moment you breathe it in. Imagine you are floating in a small, wooden boat in the middle of these flowers. The water is so still that it feels like you are floating in the sky. As the night deepens, the lotus flowers begin to close their petals, one by one, tucking their golden centers away for the night. Watch the slow, deliberate movement of the petals, closing, protecting, retreating into the silence. This is exactly what your mind is doing now. You are closing the petals of your thoughts. You are protecting your inner peace. Imagine reaching out and touching a petal. It feels like the finest silk, cool and soft. The ancient Egyptians used the blue lotus to reach a state of deep meditation and dreamlike sleep. As the fragrance of the flowers fills the air around you, feel your body becoming lighter and lighter. The boat sways almost invisibly, a movement so gentle that you only feel it in your spirit. Sway, sway, stay. You are drifting into the blue shadows of the blossoms. The water beneath you is deep and dark, holding the wisdom of the earth. There is no noise here, only the sound of the lotus petals touching each other as they close. It is a dry, soft sound, like a whisper from the past. Let the scent of the blue lotus be your guide through the gates of sleep, leading you into a garden where the sun never burns and the water never fails. You are safe. You are surrounded by beauty. You are drifting into the heart of the flower. Now, let us travel to a city built of dreams and white stone, Akhenaten, the city of the sun. Imagine this city at midnight, after the great king Akhenaten and his queen Nefertiti have gone to rest. The city is made of wide, straight streets and massive open-air temples where the people once worshipped the light. But now, the light is gone, replaced by a deep, indigo silence. Imagine walking through the great palace, where the floors are painted with scenes of nature, birds flying through reeds, fish swimming in blue pools. Even in the dark, these paintings feel alive. The air here is crisp and carries the scent of the surrounding desert cliffs. Imagine the silence of the royal bedchamber, where the walls are carved with images of the sun's rays reaching out like long, slender hands to protect the sleeping family. These hands are also reaching out to you. Imagine them resting lightly on your shoulders, pushing away the weight of the world. You walk out onto a balcony and look out over the city. Every house is dark, every fire is out. The only movement is the slow, rhythmic waving of the banners on the tall temple flagpoles, flap, flap, flap. It is a sound that reminds you of the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. This city was built to be a paradise on earth, a place of total truth and light. And in the darkness, it becomes a sanctuary of total honesty and rest. There is no need for masks here. There is no need for titles. You are simply a soul under the stars. Feel the immense stability of the stone buildings around you. They have stood against the wind and the sand for years, and they will guard your sleep tonight. The city of the sun is now a city of stars, and you are its only guest. Let the white stone and the indigo sky be your sanctuary, as you sink deeper into the cool, silent history of the dream city. For our final journey, imagine yourself as the evening star, the first light to appear in the darkening sky. You are hanging high above the pyramids, watching the world below turn from gold to violet to deep, velvety black. From this height, the Nile looks like a vein of silver, and the desert looks like a vast, frozen sea. You are the watcher of the night, the one who signals the time for all living things to let go. Imagine the feeling of being a point of pure light. You have no weight. You have no worries. You simply shine. Below you, the great lions of the desert are settling into the sand. The ibises have tucked their heads under their wings. The great river barges have tied up to the banks. You are watching over a world that is completely at rest. As you look down at the earth, feel a sense of immense love and protection flowing from you to the land below. And then, imagine that you are no longer the star in the sky, but the reflection of that star in a quiet pool of water. You are returning to the earth. You are descending through the cool night air, moving slowly, drifting like a falling leaf. You land softly back into your own body, back into your own bed, but you carry the light of the star with you. Your mind is now a galaxy of soft, fading sparks. The journey is complete. The 3,000 years of history, the gods, the kings, the river, and the stone are all now safely stored in your heart. They are the foundation of your sleep. The Great Pyramid is your pillow. The Nile is your breath. The stars are your dreams. The ancient world is now silent. The modern world is now gone. There is only the dark, and the peace, and the rest. Sleep now. Sleep in the eternity of Kemet. Good night. Good night. Good night. Imagine you are standing on the silver-dusted sands of the Karnak temple complex at the precise moment when the sun has completely vanished and the moon god Khonsu begins his nightly journey across the sky. In ancient Egypt, the moon was not just a light, it was a traveler, a counter of time, and a healer of the night. Imagine the moon as a giant, glowing pearl, moving so slowly that you cannot see its motion, only feel its presence. The light it casts is not like the harsh gold of the sun. It is a cool, liquid silver that turns the limestone walls into shimmering silk. As you walk through the shadows of the massive columns, imagine the light of Khonsu filtering through the high clerestory windows. The shadows are long, deep, and indigo, smelling of old stone and the cool breath of the river. Think about the hours of the night, each hour guarded by a different spirit. Imagine the first hour, where the world is still settling into its rest. You can hear the distant, muffled sound of the temple's sacred baboons hooting softly at the moon, a sound that has echoed through this valley for 5,000 years. Imagine sitting at the base of a giant statue of Khonsu, the child god with the crescent moon on his head. The stone is cold against your back, but it is a refreshing cold, a cold that draws the last of the day's heat from your body. The Egyptians believed that the moon's light could knit together torn skin and heal a broken spirit. Imagine this silver light as a fine, glowing thread, weaving through your mind, sewing together the scattered thoughts of your day into a single, peaceful tapestry. There is no urgency in the moon's path. It does not rush toward the dawn. It simply exists in its pale glory. Let your breathing match the slow, silent arc of the moon. In and out, slow and steady. You are becoming part of the silver landscape. The temple walls are your protection, and the moon is your guide. You are drifting into the deep, indigo heart of the night, where the only sound is the silent movement of the stars. Now, imagine you are stepping onto a boat made entirely of translucent, white alabaster. It is small, elegant, and glows from within, as if it is carved from a piece of the moon itself. This boat is docked at a private stone pier behind a noble's villa, where the water of the Nile is so still it looks like dark, liquid obsidian. As you step aboard, the boat doesn't rock, it feels as solid as the earth, yet as light as a cloud. You are traveling backward, not across the land, but through time, back toward the Dzep Tepe, the first time, when the world was new and the gods still walked on the banks of the river. Imagine the silence of this journey. There are no crowds, no cities, no noise of civilization. There is only the endless green of the papyrus marshes and the vast, open sky. The air smells of primordial mud, fresh water, and the first flowers that ever bloomed. As you float, you see the great pyramids in the distance, but they are not old and weathered. They are covered in polished Tura limestone, shining so brightly in the starlight that they look like mountains of pure light. There is a profound sense of rightness in this world. Everything is in its place. The stars are larger and brighter, hanging like lanterns just above your head. Imagine reaching up and feeling the warmth of a star against your fingertips. The boat carries you into a world of perfect geometry and divine order. You are moving toward the source of all things, toward the moment of absolute beginning. Here, your soul feels weightless. Every burden you have ever carried, every worry, every fear, every responsibility, is left behind on the banks of the modern world. You are a passenger on the alabaster boat, and your destination is the eternal silence of the first time. Let the boat's steady, silent glide be the last thing you feel as you surrender to the dark, cool water of sleep. You are traveling home, back to the beginning, back to the peace that existed before the world began. Imagine yourself lying on the warm, flat roof of a temple in the city of Abydos. The stone beneath you still holds the heat of the afternoon sun, a comforting warmth that seeps into your back and relaxes your spine. Above you, the sky is no longer just a dark space, it is a deep, indigo veil, shimmering with the presence of the goddess Nut. In ancient Egypt, the stars were called the Yakimusiku, the ones that never set, the imperishable ones. Imagine focusing your eyes on a single, bright star, far in the northern sky. As you stare at it, the rest of the world begins to fade away. The air up here is thin and sweet, carrying the distant scent of desert jasmine and the cooling river. There is a profound silence that only exists in the deep desert, a silence so heavy it feels like a velvet blanket. Imagine the movements of the planets, which the Egyptians called the stars that know no rest. But tonight, you are not like them. You are one of the fixed stars. You are anchored to the earth, yet your spirit is floating among the constellations. Imagine the constellation of the Great Bear slowly turning like a giant celestial wheel above your head. Every rotation of the stars is a heartbeat of the universe. You feel the vastness of space, not as a cold void, but as a protective dome. The Egyptians believed that the stars were the souls of the blessed, watching over the living with a quiet, silver light. Feel that light touching your forehead, smoothing away the lines of worry, cooling your thoughts. You are suspended between the warm stone of the earth and the cool indigo of the heavens. There is nowhere else to go, and nothing else to do but watch the slow, ancient dance of the light. Let your mind drift upward, merging with the indigo veil, until you are no longer sure where the earth ends and the sky begins. Now, let us descend back into the temple, moving through the high, narrow doorways into the inner sanctuary, the Holy of Holies. This is the room where the sacred statues of the gods are kept. At this hour, the temple is empty of priests, and the only light comes from a single, dying oil lamp in a corner. The statues are carved from black granite, polished until they shine like dark water. Imagine the silence of this room. It is a silence that has been building for centuries, layer upon layer. The statues stand in their cedar shrines, their eyes fixed on eternity. They do not sleep as humans do, but they exist in a state of divine rest. Imagine standing before the statue of Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess. Her face is powerful yet calm, representing the sun's fire that has now cooled into the moonlight. As you stand in her presence, you feel a sense of absolute security. Nothing can harm you here. The thick stone walls of the sanctuary are 5 feet deep, blocking out every sound from the outside world. Think about the stillness of the granite. Stone has no heartbeat, no anxiety, no sense of time. As you breathe in the cool, dry air of the sanctuary, imagine your own body turning into this polished stone. Your limbs become heavy and still. Your heart beats slowly, like the dripping of water in a distant cave. You are becoming a monument of peace. The shadows in the room are soft and long, wrapping around the statues and wrapping around you. In this hall of silent gods, you are invited to join their eternal rest. The world outside is 1,000 miles away. Here, there is only the dark stone, the faint scent of incense, and the absolute, unshakable peace of the sanctuary. Imagine you have passed through the final gate and you are stepping into the Sekhet Hetepet, the field of peace. This is the place the Egyptians dreamed of during their long lives on earth. Imagine a landscape where the grass is as soft as silk and the water in the canals is as clear as a diamond. The sun here is always at the golden hour of late afternoon, casting a warm, honey-colored light over everything. You walk through a grove of date palms, their leaves rustling with a sound like soft applause. Every fruit is sweet, and every flower is in full bloom. There is no winter here, no drought, and no sorrow. Imagine meeting the people of the past, dressed in their finest white linen, sitting by the water and playing games of senet in the shade. Their laughter is soft, like the sound of distant bells. There is a sense of perfect completion in this field. Everything you ever worked for, everything you ever hoped for, is now realized. You sit down by a pool filled with blue lotus and golden fish. The water is so clear you can see the white pebbles at the bottom. As you trail your fingers through the water, you feel a sense of profound belonging. You are not a stranger here, you are the owner of this garden. This is your eternal home. The air is filled with the song of the Bennu bird, the ancient phoenix, a melody that tells the story of rebirth and endless cycles. Let the warmth of this golden field seep into your soul. You have finished your journey. You have crossed the river. You have reached the peace that passes all understanding. Let the golden light fade into a soft, dreamless amber as you sink into the heart of the field of peace. Imagine walking into the private workshop of a royal goldsmith in the city of Thebes. The sun is setting outside, and the room is filled with a soft, orange glow from the small charcoal furnaces. Here, gold is not just a metal, it is the flesh of the gods. Imagine the silence of this sacred space, where the only sound is the rhythmic clink, clink, clink of a small hammer against a sheet of pure, yellow gold. The sound is high-pitched yet calming, like a tiny bell ringing in the distance. Think about the texture of the gold. It is beaten so thin that it moves like silk in the breeze. Imagine the goldsmith's hands, steady and wise, as he carves the delicate wings of a vulture or the fierce eyes of a falcon into the metal. The scent in the room is a mixture of burnt charcoal, beeswax, and the metallic tang of copper. As you watch the liquid gold being poured into a mold, it flows like thick, glowing honey. There is a profound patience in this work. Every tiny detail, every minute carving, is a testament to the belief that beauty is eternal. Imagine sitting on a wooden stool, watching the embers of the furnace slowly fade from bright red to a soft, pulsing orange. You feel the warmth of the fire on your skin, a comforting heat that relaxes your muscles and slows your breathing. In this room, the chaos of the world does not exist. There is only the gold, the fire, and the steady hand of the master. Let the rhythmic hammering of the goldsmith become the heartbeat of your own relaxation, a steady pulse that tells you that everything is being crafted into perfection. You are safe in the workshop of the gods, and your spirit is being polished into a state of pure, golden peace. Now, let us travel deep beneath the temple of Hermopolis, down a long, winding staircase made of cool, blue basalt. You are entering the legendary library of Thoth, the god of writing and magic. This is a place that no living eye has seen for millennia. Imagine a vast, circular hall where the walls are made of solid emerald, glowing with a faint, inner light. The air here is perfectly still, smelling of old ink, dried papyrus, and the cold, clean scent of the earth. There are no windows here, and no doors. The library exists in a pocket of time that never moves. Imagine the millions of scrolls stacked on the shelves, containing every secret of the universe, the language of the birds, the movements of the stars, and the true name of every soul. You walk to the center of the hall, where a single stone table sits under a dome of crystal. On the table lies a scroll that has never been unrolled. Imagine the weight of the silence in this room. It is a silence that knows everything. You don't need to read the scrolls to understand their power. You can feel the wisdom vibrating in the air around you. It is a calming vibration, a frequency that aligns your mind with the cosmic order. Think about the god Thoth, the silent scribe, watching over this hall with his ibis head tilted in eternal thought. He is the guardian of your secrets, too. As you rest in this library of light, feel the heavy burden of knowing slip away from you. You don't need to have the answers tonight. You are in the house of the one who knows everything, and he has invited you to simply sleep. Let the emerald light of the library wash over your eyes, turning the world into a soft, green haze of tranquility. You are protected by the wisdom of the ages, and your rest is as deep as the foundations of the earth. Let us leave the temples and the cities behind and return to the heart of the great sand sea. Imagine it is the hour before dawn, the most silent hour of the night. You are lying on the crest of a Bishal dune that stretches for miles in every direction. The sand beneath you is no longer hot, it is cool and soft, molding itself to the shape of your body like a custom-made bed. Above you, the stars are so close that you feel you could reach out and pluck them like ripe fruit. Imagine the sound of the desert wind. It is not a whistle or a roar, it is a long, low sigh that travels across the empty space. This is the song of the dunes. As the wind moves the sand, the dunes themselves vibrate, creating a sound like a distant, deep cello. MMM. It is a sound that vibrates in your chest, grounding you to the planet. Think about the infinite number of sand grains beneath you, each one a tiny piece of history, a fragment of a mountain that existed millions of years ago. You are resting on the bones of the earth. The desert is a place of absolute simplicity. There are no distractions, no colors but the silver of the moon and the black of the shadows. Imagine the coolness of the night air filling your lungs, crisp and clean. You feel as if you are the only person left in the world, and for once, that feels like a blessing. You are free from the noise of humanity. You are alone with the wind and the stars. Let the rhythmic sighing of the desert wind be your lullaby. With every breath you take, you are sinking deeper into the soft, shifting sand, becoming one with the vast, quiet landscape. The desert is wide, the night is long, and you have all the time in the universe to rest. Imagine standing on the stone steps of the sacred lake at Karnak. The water is perfectly still, reflecting the constellations so clearly that you feel as if you are standing on the edge of a cosmic abyss. In the center of the lake, a stone scarab sits on a pedestal, representing the eternal cycle of the sun. But tonight, the sun is far away, and the lake belongs to the moon. Imagine the sensation of dipping your feet into the water. It is cool, but not cold, a perfect, silk-like temperature. The ripples you create spread outward in slow, perfect circles, shimmering with the reflected light of the stars. The Egyptians believed that this water was a remnant of the Nun, the primeval ocean from which all life emerged. As you sit by the water's edge, imagine the water drawing the tiredness out of your feet, out of your legs, and out of your heart. You are being washed clean by the moon. The silence here is punctuated only by the occasional splash of a fish or the soft rustle of a reed. Imagine the scent of the water, fresh, green, and ancient. This lake is a portal to another state of being. As you watch your own reflection in the water, you see not a person of the modern world, but a soul of the ancient world, calm, steady, and eternal. Let the stillness of the lake become the stillness of your mind. There are no waves here. There are no storms. There is only the mirror-like surface of your own peace. You are floating on the surface of eternity, and the stars are guiding you home. We have reached the final horizon of our 3-hour journey. Imagine you are standing at the place where the river meets the sea, the great delta where the Nile finally surrenders its identity to the infinite ocean. This is the moment of total union. The fresh water of the river and the salt water of the sea blend together in a soft, blue mist. The sun is beginning to think about rising, but it is still a distant promise. The world is in a state of twilight, the time between times. Imagine the feeling of total surrender. You have traveled the entire length of the river. You have seen the pyramids, the temples, the gardens, and the deserts. You have met the gods and the kings. And now, you are letting it all go. The history of Egypt is no longer a story you are hearing, it is a dream you are having. As the river meets the sea, feel your own consciousness expanding into the infinite ocean of sleep. There are no more words to say. There are no more sights to see. The 3 hours of time have dissolved into a single moment of absolute rest. You are the river. You are the sea. You are the stars. You are the silence. Everything is one. Everything is Ma'at. Everything is peace. Sleep now, traveler of the Nile. The 3,000 years of Kemet are watching over you. Good night. Good night. Good night. Imagine you are in a small, quiet village in the heart of the Nile Delta, far from the towering stone of the pyramids. Here, the world is green, soft, and filled with the scent of damp earth and blooming clover. You are sitting in the shade of a wide sycamore fig tree, watching an elderly woman at her loom. The loom is made of dark, polished wood, and the linen thread she is weaving is as fine as a spider's silk. Imagine the sound of the shuttle as it slides back and forth, shhh clack, shhh clack. It is a rhythmic, hypnotic sound that seems to heartbeat with the earth itself. Every time the shuttle moves, a new line of time is woven into the fabric. The weaver does not look up, her eyes are fixed on the patterns of the thread, her hands moving with a grace that only comes from a lifetime of quiet work. Think about the linen. It is called woven moonlight because of its pale, cool glow. Imagine reaching out and touching the fabric. It is cool against your fingertips, smoother than any modern cloth. As you watch the weaver, imagine your own thoughts being woven into this linen. Every worry, every loud noise from your day, is being caught in the threads and smoothed away. The fabric is long, white, and endless. It wraps around your mind like a soft, protective bandage, cooling the heat of your brain and silencing the chatter of your thoughts. The village around you is silent. The farmers are in the fields, and the only sound is the weaver's loom and the distant, soft lowing of a cow. You are safe in this green world. The rhythm of the work is your lullaby. Shuklak, shhh clack. Let the movement of the shuttle carry you deeper into the soft, white folds of the night. Now, let us move from the soft green of the delta to the high, cool halls of the Temple of Sais. You are walking into the House of Papyrus, the great library where the wisdom of the ages is kept. The walls are thick, made of white limestone that feels like ice against your hand. There are no windows here, only high slits in the ceiling that allow the silver moonlight to fall in long, straight lines across the floor. Imagine the scent of the library. It is a mixture of dried reeds, cedar oil, and the faint, sweet smell of ancient ink. Thousands of scrolls sit in their cubicles, each one holding a story that has been told for 1,000 years. You find a quiet corner, away from the main hall, where a single reed mat is spread out on the floor. You sit down, and the silence of the library immediately surrounds you. It is a heavy silence, a silence that has been protected by the gods. Think about the scribes who sat here before you. They spent their lives in this quiet, moving their pens across the papyrus with absolute focus. That focus is still in the air. It is a vibration of calm. Imagine the library is a giant stone cocoon, protecting you from the wind and the sun. Here, time does not move forward, it only breathes. You can feel the presence of the god Thoth, the patron of the scribes, watching over you with his calm, ibis eyes. He is the guardian of the night, and he has decreed that in this library, there shall be only peace. Every scroll on the shelf is a silent promise that the world is ordered and safe. Let the weight of the limestone and the scent of the papyrus ground you. You are a student of the silence, and tonight, your only lesson is how to let go. Imagine you have been invited into the private garden of Queen Nefertari, the most beautiful woman of the ancient world. This garden is hidden behind high walls of mud brick, and it is a place where only the moon is allowed to enter. As you walk through the gate, the air changes. It becomes heavy with the scent of night-blooming jasmine, blue lotus, and the spicy aroma of myrrh trees. Imagine a small, rectangular pond in the center of the garden, filled with water so clear you can see the white pebbles at the bottom, even in the dark. Large, flat lily pads float on the surface, and occasionally, a small frog makes a soft plop as it enters the water. The sound is tiny, but in the silence of the garden, it feels like a grand event. You walk along a path made of crushed seashells that crunch softly under your feet. Imagine sitting on a bench made of cedar wood, looking up at the stars. The queen is not here, but her presence is felt in the perfection of the flowers and the stillness of the air. This garden was built for love and for peace. There are no thorns here, no harsh edges. Everything is curved, soft, and welcoming. Imagine the cool night breeze as it brushes past your face, carrying the scent of the lotus flowers. It feels like a silken veil being pulled across your eyes. The world outside the walls, the politics, the wars, the taxes, is a million miles away. Here, you are just a guest of the queen, and she has given you the gift of her silence. Let the fragrance of the jasmine wrap around your heart, and let the soft splashing of the pond water be the only music you hear as you drift into a royal and ancient sleep. Let us return to the Giza Plateau one last time, but not to the Great Sphinx. Instead, we are standing before a smaller, private sphinx carved from red granite. This sphinx is older than the pyramids, and its face is worn smooth by the winds of 1,000 years. Imagine the texture of the granite. It is rough yet noble, filled with tiny crystals that sparkle in the starlight. You sit between the paws of this silent guardian. The granite is cool, and it vibrates with a low, deep frequency that you can feel in your own chest. This is the heartbeat of the stone. The Sphinx is the watcher of the horizon, the one who sees the dawn before it arrives. But its most important job is to guard the night. Imagine the Sphinx's breath. It is a slow, rhythmic movement of the desert air. With every breath it takes, the sand around you shifts almost invisibly. The Sphinx has no needs, no desires, and no fears. It simply exists. As you rest against its flank, imagine your own mind becoming as solid and as calm as the granite. The thoughts that once felt so heavy now feel like grains of sand, being blown away by the desert wind. You are becoming a part of the monument. You are enduring. You are stable. The night sky above you is a Bishal, indigo map, and the Sphinx knows every star by name. It is watching over you, ensuring that the silence remains unbroken. Let the strength of the stone be your strength, and let the silence of the Sphinx be your silence. You are guarded by the oldest sentinel in the world, and in its shadow, you are finally free to rest. We are coming to the end of our 3-hour journey through the land of Kemet. Imagine the Nile is no longer a river, but a wide, golden path leading back to the beginning of the universe. You are floating on a raft made of papyrus reeds, drifting toward the Nun, the primeval ocean of darkness and potential from which the first hill rose. The water here is not wet, it is like a thick, warm liquid of pure peace. As you drift, the shapes of the pyramids, the temples, and the cities begin to dissolve into a soft, golden mist. You are moving beyond history, beyond names, and beyond form. There is no sun here, and no moon, only a soft, inner glow that comes from the water itself. Imagine the feeling of total weightlessness. You have no body, no weight, and no worries. You are a single point of consciousness in a Bishal, warm sea of love. This is the place where all souls go to be renewed. This is the source of the Nile, and the source of your own life. As the last of the ancient echoes fade away, imagine the water of the Nun rising up to meet you, wrapping you in a blanket of eternal darkness that is not cold or frightening, but warm and welcoming. This is the sleep of the gods. This is the rest of the first time. Everything is one. Everything is silent. The journey is complete. You are home. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Imagine you are standing in the center of the hypostyle hall at Luxor, long after the priests have extinguished the last oil lamps. During the day, these massive sandstone columns soak up the fierce energy of the Egyptian sun, but now, in the deep of the night, they are slowly releasing that warmth back into the air. Imagine placing your palms against the ancient stone. You can feel the heat radiating out in a slow, steady pulse. It feels like the temple itself is breathing. As you stand there, the stone begins to turn cool under your touch. Think about the texture of the sandstone. It is slightly gritty, holding the memory of 1,000,000 sandstorms and the touch of 1,000 generations. You move from the center of the hall toward the dark shadows of the inner walls. The air here is noticeably cooler, smelling of old dust and the dampness of the nearby river. Imagine the silence of the stone. It doesn't just lack sound, it absorbs sound. Every thought in your mind is being absorbed by these 5-foot-thick walls. The temple is a vacuum of peace. You find a smooth limestone bench carved into the wall and sit down. The stone is now perfectly cold, drawing the last bit of tension out of your muscles. You feel solid. You feel heavy. You feel as if you are becoming part of the architecture itself, an eternal, silent pillar in the house of the gods. Let the cooling of the temple be the cooling of your mind. Everything is slowing down. Everything is turning to stone. Everything is at rest. Let us travel to the quiet marshes at the edge of the Nile, where the tall papyrus reeds sway in the midnight breeze. This is the home of the sacred ibis, the bird of Thoth. Imagine hundreds of these white birds, standing on one leg among the reeds, their long, curved beaks tucked deeply into the soft feathers of their backs. They are completely motionless, like statues of snow in the indigo light. The sound here is a soft, rhythmic shhhshhh of the wind moving through the reeds. It sounds like the earth is whispering a secret to itself. Imagine the water around the birds. It is dark, slow-moving, and filled with the reflection of the crescent moon. There is no splash, no ripple, only the absolute stillness of nature at rest. You are standing on a small wooden pier, watching the birds. Their peace is contagious. Think about the lightness of their bodies, how they can sleep while balanced so perfectly. You feel that same balance entering your own body. You are not leaning to the left or the right, you are centered. You are balanced. You are still. The scent of the marsh is green and fresh, a mixture of water and crushed grass. It is a scent that clears your mind of the modern world. As the ibis birds dream of the celestial skies, you dream of the ancient river. You are safe in the reeds. You are hidden from the world. You are as still as the sleeping birds, drifting into a white, feather-soft slumber. Imagine returning to the house of life, the sacred library, but it is now the middle of the night. A single shaft of moonlight falls through a high window, illuminating millions of tiny dust motes dancing in the air. These are not just specks of dust. Imagine them as the tiny fragments of forgotten stories, floating in the silence. You walk to a wooden table where a scribe has left a half-finished scroll of the Book of the Dead. The ink is dry, and the reed pen lies beside it. Imagine the scent of the old papyrus. It smells like dry grass and honey. You sit in the scribe's chair and watch the dust motes as they swirl in slow, lazy circles. There is no wind in this room, yet the dust moves as if it is being stirred by the breath of the past. Think about the millions of words written in this room over thousands of years, words of magic, words of law, words of love. All those words are now silent. The library is a graveyard of sound, but it is a peaceful graveyard. Imagine the weight of all that knowledge surrounding you, providing a thick layer of protection between you and the outside world. You don't need to know what the scrolls say. You only need to know that they are there, guarding the truth. As you watch the dust motes settle slowly onto the floor, feel your own thoughts settling. One by one, they drop away, leaving only a blank, quiet space in your mind. The library is a sanctuary of the unsaid. Let the silence of the scrolls be your blanket, and the dancing dust be your stars, as you sink into the ancient, ink-scented darkness. Imagine standing in the center of a great plaza before a towering obelisk of pink granite. The sun has long since set, but the obelisk still points like a giant needle toward the North Star. Its surface is polished to a mirror-like finish, reflecting the pale light of the moon. Imagine the long, dark shadow it casts across the stone floor, a shadow that has moved in the same circle for 3,000 years. You walk into the heart of that shadow. Inside the shadow, the world feels different. It is cooler, darker, and more private. You lean your back against the base of the obelisk. The granite is immensely hard and immensely old. It was born in the fires of the earth millions of years before the first pharaoh was born. Think about the stability of this monument. It has survived earthquakes, floods, and the rise and fall of empires, yet it hasn't moved an inch. As you lean against it, feel that stability transferring into your own spine. You are no longer a fragile creature of the present, you are as enduring as the granite. The hieroglyphs carved into the stone are deep and sharp, telling the story of the sun god's triumph over the darkness. But tonight, the darkness is not an enemy, it is a friend. The shadow of the obelisk is a cloak of invisibility. No one can see you here. No one can find you. You are hidden in the geometry of the gods. Let the vertical strength of the stone hold you up, while your mind lets go and falls into the horizontal peace of the earth. You are the shadow. You are the stone. You are the night. Our 3-hour journey is now reaching its true and final conclusion. Imagine you are no longer standing or walking, but simply floating, not on water, but on the very essence of time itself. The Nile, the pyramids, the temples, and the gods have all dissolved into a soft, golden mist that smells of sandalwood and incense. You are in the Dzep Tepi, the first time, before the world was created, when there was only the warm, dark ocean of the Nun. There is no light here, but you are not afraid, for this darkness is the womb of the universe. It is warm, it is safe, and it is infinite. Imagine the sound of a single, low note being played on a silver flute, vibrating through the water. It is the note of Ma'at, the note of perfect balance. As that note fades into the silence, every last cell in your body let go. You have no name. You have no history. You are simply a spark of peace in the heart of the eternal dark. The 3 hours of our journey were just a bridge to lead you here, to this moment of total surrender. The land of Egypt is asleep. The river is still. The stars are silent. And you, traveler, are finally home. The 3,000 years of Kemet are now just a dream within a dream. Rest now. Sleep now. Everything is finished. Everything is perfect. Good night. Good night. Good night. Imagine you are standing in a small, windowless chamber deep inside the temple of Edfu. The only light comes from a single, glowing coal in a bronze brazier. Standing before you is the high priest, his head shaved and his white linen robes glowing in the amber light. He is preparing the kifi, the sacred evening incense. Imagine the sound of the ingredients being added one by one, the soft clink of dried raisins, the rustle of honey-soaked herbs, and the sharp snap of frankincense resin. As he drops the mixture onto the coal, a thick, blue smoke begins to rise, spiraling slowly toward the ceiling. Imagine the scent, it is heavy, spicy, and incredibly grounding. It smells like ancient forests and sun-drenched resins. The smoke begins to fill the room, wrapping around you like a warm, invisible silk. The Egyptians believed that this scent could purify the mind and open the gates of the underworld. As you breathe in the kifi, feel the smoke entering your lungs, expanding inside you, and carrying away every trace of stress. Your thoughts become as light and as aimless as the smoke itself. You are no longer aware of the stone walls or the floor beneath your feet. You are simply floating in a cloud of sacred fragrance. The priest moves in slow, rhythmic circles, his shadow dancing on the walls. There is no hurry. There is no tomorrow. There is only the scent, the smoke, and the silence. Let the blue mist of the kifi be the veil that separates you from the waking world, as you drift into a deep, aromatic slumber. Now, imagine you have left the temple and you are walking along the banks of a river that exists only in dreams. This is the river that leads to the field of reeds. The water is silver, and the reeds are taller than any you have seen on earth. They are made of a crystalline substance that chimes softly when the wind touches them. Imagine the sound, a million tiny glass bells ringing in a soft, random melody. Tink, chime, tink. It is the most relaxing sound you have ever heard. You walk through the reeds, and they part for you like a curtain. The ground beneath your feet is made of soft, white sand that feels like powdered silk. As you move, you hear the voices of the reeds. They are whispering the names of the stars, the names of the gods, and finally, your own name. But they are not calling you to wake up. They are singing you to sleep. They are telling you that your journey is over, that you have reached the place where the sun never sets and the water never fails. Think about the lightness of your spirit here. You have no body to carry, no weight to pull you down. You are as light as a seed of a dandelion, drifting on the chime of the reeds. Let the silver music of the underworld be the last thing you hear. It is a song of welcome, a song of peace, and a song of eternal rest. You are sinking into the silver water, becoming one with the reeds and the stars. Imagine you are in a quiet, dark tomb, standing before a massive sarcophagus of solid quartzite. Inside, the king sleeps, but his face is covered by a mask of pure, hammered gold. Imagine the face of the mask. The eyes are made of obsidian and lapis lazuli, staring out into the darkness with an expression of absolute, divine calm. The mask is not a face of a human, it is a face of eternity. It does not blink, it does not frown, and it does not age. Imagine sitting beside this golden face. The gold reflects the faint light of your spirit, glowing with a soft, internal warmth. You look into the obsidian eyes, and you see the entire history of the world reflected there. The rising of the Nile, the building of the pyramids, the fall of the empires, and yet, the eyes remain calm. Think about the stillness of the gold. It is a metal that never rusts, never decays. It is the perfect material for a dream. Imagine your own face becoming like this golden mask. Your skin becomes smooth and radiant. Your eyes close, but your inner vision remains fixed on the golden light of the afterlife. You are no longer a creature of flesh and bone. You are a monument of gold. The silence of the tomb is your protection. The weight of the earth above you is your security. You are safe in the golden dark, resting in the eternal gaze of the kings. Let the stillness of the mask be your stillness, as you sink into a sleep that is as deep and as beautiful as the treasures of a pharaoh. Imagine you are lost in the desert, but suddenly, you find a giant sycamore tree standing alone in the middle of a golden dune. This is the tree of the goddess Hathor, the lady of the sycamore. As you approach, the goddess herself emerges from the trunk of the tree, holding a golden tray of water and bread. She does not speak, but her presence is like a cool breeze on a hot day. Imagine the taste of the water. It is colder and sweeter than any water on earth. As you drink, you feel your entire body being renewed. The goddess reaches out and touches your forehead with a hand that smells of milk and honey. The shade of the sycamore tree is thick and dark, a perfect sanctuary from the desert sun. Imagine lying down on the soft roots of the tree. The leaves above you are large and green, and they move with a sound like a soft sigh. Hush, hush, hush. This is the breath of the goddess. She is watching over you as you sleep. Every leaf on the tree is a protective amulet, shielding you from the world. You are a child in the arms of the earth. The sand around the tree is perfectly still, and the desert wind has died down to a whisper. You are safe in the shade of the goddess. Let the rustling of the sycamore leaves be your final lullaby, as you drift into a dream of green gardens and golden light. Our 3-hour journey is now entering its final, most mystical phase. Imagine you are on a boat of pure light, traveling toward the Isle of Fire, not a place of burning, but a place of pure, glowing energy where the sun is reborn every morning. The water around the boat is a deep violet, and the sky is a mixture of indigo and gold. You are moving beyond the reach of time. The memories of your life, the names of the people you knew, and the worries of your heart are all falling away like autumn leaves. You are becoming a pure spark of light. Imagine the feeling of total, absolute freedom. There is no gravity here. There is no past. There is only the soft, pulsing glow of the horizon. As the boat reaches the shore of the Isle of Fire, you step out onto a beach of white diamonds. The air is warm and vibrates with a low, musical hum. This is the sound of the universe at rest. You have reached the end of the world, and the beginning of eternity. The 3 hours are complete. The story is told. The river has reached the sea. The gods are silent. The stars are bright. And you, traveler, are finally, perfectly, and eternally asleep. Good night. Good night. Good night.